About 15 months ago, I did an episode on this channel. It was 6 steps to creating a go-to-market plan. And I did this based on my 15 years of knowledge of being in the SaaS industry and working in go-to-market. And it turned out to be one of our best, biggest episodes in this channel and in this community. A lot's happened in the last 15 months. And I thought, now that 15 months has passed, it would be cool to revamp those 6 steps based on everything that I've learned. Now, in the last 15 months, I've worked with countless SaaS companies to help them implement those 6 steps, help them actually accelerate their growth. Bootstrap companies have accelerated growth and gotten profitability.
We probably grew like over 100%.
Venture-backed companies have put in go-to-market plays and accelerated growth and raised their Series A's and Seed Plus rounds.
We've seen since we started the program, we've seen our MRR within a year more than, I think it's 5x of what we started off.
Based on everything that I've learned over the last 15 months of actually working in the front lines with founders.
All of that worked just the way that TK said it would, and it helped us increase our lead generation. From quarter over quarter, we increased our lead generation by 600%.
Coupled with my 15 years of experience in building, scaling, exiting multiple SaaS companies, in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through my revamped 6 steps to actually create a go-to-market plan. And when you actually implement these steps, you'll be able to accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. Over the last 15 years, I've built and scaled multiple SaaS companies. I started ToutApp. It was backed by Andreessen Horowitz. We pioneered the sales engagement space. We sold that to Marketo. I joined Marketo and their executive team. I was their SVP of strategy. I ran Europe for a quarter. I ran Australia for a quarter as a go-to-market leader. I then ran the alliances organization. And so I learned a ton, all the way from the $0 in revenue to getting to something all the way to a 450 million ARR business. Of course, we sold Marketo to Adobe for $4.75 billion. So it was a really full experience. Now, along with those experiences, I also started working with actual SaaS founders, early stage SaaS founders, to help them build and execute on their go-to-market machines. Coupled with those two things, I've really started to get the frontline view plus the experience on exactly how to scale SaaS companies. And so in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 6 steps that you need to know to actually create a go-to-market plan and accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. So if you've got a product and you've got some revenues and you've started to actually get that revenue flowing, but then you're like, how do we grow? It's not consistent, it's not scalable. This is when a go-to-market strategy and plan really comes into play. This is not the time where you're trying to figure out product market fit, right? So you kind of have that glimmers of product market fit, but you're like, how do we actually scale this? How do we get more of these revenues? And that's what you're looking to figure out. And the first step in developing this go-to-market plan to scale the revenues and accelerate the growth is to actually really hone in on the market where your product is most effective. Ultimately, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to define which part of the market that you're going after has the most urgent plus important need for your product. And a lot of times this can get overly complicated, but I think of this in a very simple way because markets can actually be sliced and diced in very specific ways to understand exactly where you want to be playing. So let's just say this box right here is your target market or the broader market that you can play in with your product, with your SaaS product. Now, markets typically get broken down into specific segments. So basically you'll have the small business market, you'll have the mid market, and you will have the enterprise market. And the reason for this is these different segments have different needs, different sophistication levels, they have different buying processes. And so as you start to generate your initial revenues, you'll start to say, you know what, there's a segment of the market where we tend to do better, where the problem is more urgent, more important, and that's how you want to kind of hone in on exactly what segment of the market you want to be going after. There are a few other things that define a market, right? You can actually be a low-cost player, or you can be a premium price player. And typically, the way it goes is the higher up you go in the segment, the bigger the companies you're selling into, the more they'll want to be paying. And the lower you are in the segments, the lower they want to be paying because they have smaller companies, smaller budgets. Also, as you think about which segment of the market to go after, the lower end of the market tends to be a more simple sale, whereas the higher end of the market tends to be more of a complex sale. Meaning, if you're selling to SMBs, really small companies, they probably just want to just sign up for your product and use it. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. If you're selling to the enterprise, they'll probably have to talk to sales and multiple other parties, and you have to really build the deal. Now, when you are getting more complex, you are paying more and you're earning more. Your deal sizes are bigger. When you have a very simple process, chances are your deal sizes are a lot smaller. And so these are some of the trade-offs that you want to be thinking about to figure out, okay, cool. Based on the data we have, based on the revenue we have, the low revenues we have, and we want to scale, what segment of the market do we go after, and how do they want to buy, and how do we want to price? Like, these are some of the things that you'll want to be thinking about in terms of your market strategy. That's step number one. Now, as an extension of step number one, step number two kind of connects with this. Inevitably, you're going to have competitors as you're going into the market, right? So there might be a competitor here, a competitor here, a competitor here, over here. And what you'll have to figure out is, hey, are we going in and actually going to go head to head and compete in this specific pocket? Let's just say we're going to be the low-cost enterprise player, or let's always a competitor here, right? Like, we're going to be the super premium enterprise player, or maybe the super cheap SMB player. You'll want to think about, are we going to be going into a new market or an existing market? Is there competition or is there not? As you are figuring out where the pocket of growth is for you. And so the big thing you want to figure out here is, what is the competition? And as an extension of that, you want to really figure out where is the green space, right? You want to figure out where is the opportunity. Now, the opportunity might be where you're saying, you know what, this competitor right here is very weak, so we want to go after that. Or you might say, there's no one playing in this specific space, in the mid-market, in the premium side, so let's go play over there. And this is kind of how you want to define this, and you want to actually flesh out the rest of your market strategy, because now you'll start to say, all right, we're going to now go into this segment of the market. There's not as much competition, and we're going to really differentiate. And the big thing here that you really want to think about is, when you are framing your opportunity, if you're going after an existing competitor, the messaging and the way you approach is going to be different than if you're going after building out a new category. So let's just say this segment of the market, they don't even know anything about your type of software. There's no competition. There's no ones that educated them. This is a new category. But if you're going after, let's just say, this segment of the market, you say, I'm going to go into the mid-market and compete with these guys directly, then that's an existing market. And the reason you want to be very clear about exactly what segment of the market you're going after, who you're going to be competing against, who you're not going to be competing against, where is the opportunity / the white space, is it new or existing, is because the rest of the steps are going to depend based on your decision here. And this is one of the things that I do with a lot of SaaS founders. We really look at, what is the strategic opportunity? Where do we want to focus? Because the more you focus, the more specific you're going to get with your messaging, your positioning, and everything else that you do, and the more successful you're going to be. And here's the big thing you really want to understand. This is something I learned especially well over the last 15 months, particularly. If you're going after an existing market, you're kind of going to have to convince them on why you. Let's just say you're going after this market where this competitor already plays. You have to go in and you have to say, hey, here's why we're uniquely differentiated. This is what's really unique about us in this broader category that you're probably already looking at. And I know you're going to be talking to these companies, so here's how we really differentiate. So you really, a lot of your messaging, your positioning, your ads, everything that you do when you go to market is going to be on why you. Now, if you're going after a new market, let's just say this side of the market, maybe they've probably never even heard of this problem. They don't fully realize it's urgent and important. Maybe they feel it, but they don't articulate it. They don't know there's a 3-letter acronym or there's software for this. And so when you're going into your new market, first, it's like you have to actually answer why do anything at all. Meaning, why is this a problem? You actually have to sell them on the problem. And then you have to sell them on why you. New categories, new markets always end up being a little bit more work. It's a 2-step process. You got to first sell them on the problem and then the solution. Whereas if you're going after an existing market and an existing competitor, then it's about why you, like why are you differentiated? And so both are hard. They're not easy by any means. Relatively, one could be easier than the other, but I think they're both hard. But knowing which one you're doing helps you do your job better as a founder and as a team and as a SaaS leader, so you can actually do the rest of the steps more effectively. So that's step 1 and 2. Step 1 is really broadly what segment of the market you're going after, right? And step number 2 is in the segment of the market that you're going after, what is the competition? Are you doing a new thing or an existing thing? And based on that, like, you're gonna have to make some decisions on how you position yourself. Now, let's go to step number 3. Step number 3 is your sales and marketing process. And a lot of times people jump into the execution, they run ads, they do content marketing, but they don't think strategically about, well, how should this work? How do people buy? And I've worked with companies that are product-led growth. I've worked with companies that are sales-driven, and I've worked with companies that are hybrid. I've worked with over 100 companies in the last 15 months, and we've had tremendous success across all 3 models. And the biggest thing that I've learned, and this is one of the new things I wanted to mention in this episode, is you don't really get to pick whether you're product-led or sales-led. You really don't. Your market does. Your market kind of decides how they buy, and that's the honest truth. And so, for example, if you are playing, let's just say in the enterprise market, doing a premium offering, you could do product-led. You can argue like, let's get the users to use it, and then the salespeople will come in and you can do a product-led with hybrid sales. But the truth that I found is while founders may have convictions around how they want to sell their product, they want to be product-led or they want to be sales-led, they may have a natural inclination on one or the other, the market decides. And a big part of creating a go-to-market plan and running with it is trying to understand from your early customers on how they prefer to buy. Are they the type of people that actually want to just get into the product and just try it out, even if they're in a large company? Or are they the type of people that are not that tech savvy and they're like, look, we don't know, we really just need to talk to you first, and they really want to talk to sales. And so the big step over here is you really want to figure out your sales process. And obviously the permutations are, you can be PLG, you can be sales driven, or you can be hybrid, where you start with PLG and then you look at all the data of people coming through and the salespeople go into the highest value leads. We actually did a hybrid model at ToutApp. We started with self-service, product-led, and then we added sales teams, and we had a data layer on top that monitored product usage and who was signing up, and the sales team would go into the high value prospects. We ran a hybrid process and that worked really well. But that worked really well because that's how our market dictated, that's how they wanted the sales process to be. And so that's something for you to think about. And this comes early as step number 3, because in a lot of cases, the market and the competitive dynamics really determine what's gonna actually be a successful model for you. One last thing I'll say, I've seen companies where customers preferred PLG, but the competitor, one of the companies, their competitor said, you know what, we'll offer you PLG, but we're gonna overlay it with sales. It'll be sales assisted. And what we found was when you were doing sales assisted, churn actually went down and activation went up, even with the PLG model. And when you start to put that into play, it becomes an unfair advantage. People like people, they actually want help. And so in a way, your market and your competition is determine what your sales process is gonna be given the dynamics in the market you're gonna be playing in. And so step number 3 is really getting honest about that, regardless of what you would prefer. Figure out what your customers want and how they want to operate and how they want to buy, and make that decision from there. All right, so those are the first 3 steps, right? You got market, you got the competitive dynamics, and then where's the opportunity, you're doing new or existing, and then you're doing the sales process. Now, before I go into step number 4, let me just pause here for a second. And you start to see the power in this. One of the biggest things I learned over the last 15 months is I had a lot of founders, book a call with us, and they were like, we want to join the program. And they'd be like, hey, we sent out 1,000 emails. We have this demand gen person. They're doing these things, but the leads aren't converting and we're not getting more revenue and it's just not working. And one of the biggest reasons I've seen why early stage companies struggle is because they skip this work. They skip a lot of the strategy work, even some of the steps I'm going to go into now. They jump into the execution work where they're, running ads, spending money, doing blog posts. They're doing all these things, but it's untethered from a real market strategy, positioning strategy, messaging strategy. And so this is why I'm so pedantic about these 6 steps, because when you do these the right way, you get the strategy right. And in most cases for these kind of decisions, it's not your junior marketing person, it's really the VP of marketing, or in the absence of that, which is the most common case in early stage companies, it's the CEO and the founders that have to make these decisions. And that's the core strategy around a go-to-market. Those are the first 3 steps. And if you do that, then everything else works well, including the execution side that you might do through junior people or agencies or whatever it may be. But the strategy is what's really important. If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. Now, also, if you're in this stage where you have a product, you have some revenues, and you're looking to scale your go-to-market machine, you're really looking to revamp your strategy, you really want to get the growth going, then I encourage you to check out my SaaS go-to-market program. Inside of that program, I work with you to actually help you scale your SaaS business with a scalable go-to-market strategy and machine. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video. Let's go into step number 4. So step number 4, now that you have the market, the new existing, the sales process, the next thing you really want to work on, again, a lot of people skip this step and to their detriment, is you want to actually flesh out what I call your manifesto, right? Now, a manifesto, over the last 15 months, I've probably worked on 200 to 300 iterations of a manifesto. That's across about 100 companies that I've been coaching in SaaS, right, to actually build scalable go-to-market machines. And the biggest thing that I've seen is a manifesto is very nuanced. There's core principles on how to build a manifesto, and then it takes some iterations to really get it right. And in the program, it's really an iterative process of like, all right, let's go run it, let's go tweak it, let's collect the data, and let's go tweak it again. And the second or third time is really when it hits. And when it hits, oh my God, it's so good. And we've actually done case studies with founders who've seen the success of building a successful and effective manifesto and how much impact it's had. We'll link to it below in the video if you want to check some of those out. But go into a manifesto, when you actually create one, essentially it's a few things that come together. First thing that comes together is your narrative. It's your strategic narrative. It's like, what is the big change you're bringing into the world? Why you? How are you different? In order to build that narrative and that manifesto, you're really fleshing out a few things. You're fleshing out your positioning. You're fleshing out your value proposition, and you're fleshing out your messaging. And this is a set of things that are disciplines in itself. This is core marketing. Regardless of what your sales process is, whether it's PLG or sales-led or hybrid, this narrative, this positioning, this value prop, this messaging is important to develop because this is what will drive the attention, right? What do you say on the homepage? What do you say on an ad? What type of content do you actually write about? What is the core theme across all the things you're putting out there? What do you put on a LinkedIn post? These are all things, regardless of whether you're PLG or sales-led, you have to actually get a proper thesis on and iterate on, and that's your manifesto. And when you do that, you're essentially putting in the raw ingredients of exactly where we're playing in the market, why we need to be the one that's the solution you go with, why you need to act now, how we differentiate from the competition, what happens if you don't take part of this transformation. That all goes into a manifesto. And that is step number 4 to really flesh out in these key components. Okay, so that's step number 4. You really want to nail in your positioning, your messaging, your strategic narrative. All of that comes together in the manifesto, and that's your core asset, core marketing asset that's going to help you get attention. And what we've seen work really well is the manifesto turns into a lead magnet. A manifesto helps power the homepage messaging. For sales-driven companies, we've seen the manifesto actually be the first initial slides on a discovery call, so it becomes your sales deck. And also, the manifesto actually powers your pitch deck as well, because a lot of the core messaging goes in there. So this is a core central piece of the messaging and the asset that when you build it, it goes into all these different places to help you be more effective in everything that you're doing to grow your SaaS business. Once you have that, now if you look at this, all of these pieces, you actually haven't done any execution, right? You haven't done anything, and this is on purpose. But you can start to see how if you do these things internally, everything you do externally will be so much better, right? And what ends up happening is, and I mentioned this earlier in the episode, what ends up happening is people just jump to step number 5, which I'm going to tell you about, without doing these things, and so they end up being scattered. And one of the biggest pitfalls out there is you can hire a well-meaning junior marketing person, and there's nothing wrong with them, right? They're going to be seniors soon enough, but they've only dealt with the execution. They don't know enough about the strategy part. They don't have enough agency to really change these things because they're not CEOs or founders. This is a top level thing. And so they'll just jump to execution and it won't work and founders won't know what's going on, right? And this is why marketers have such a high churn rate in companies. It's not their fault. People aren't doing the strategy work that's meant to be done by the founders and the VP of marketing, if you have one, and the leadership team. And so what's important is to understand that these strategy pieces help you be more effective in the execution, which is step number 5 and then 6. But if you skip these and just jump right to execution, then nothing will work. So it's super important to get these pieces right and make sure you have a good thought partner, the right people thinking about these strategic questions. These aren't obvious answers. You want to think through these in the right way and follow the right framework for it. Once you've done those pieces, then it gets into execution. And then what you want to run is what I call your Broadway show. And I'll explain what that is. Now, again, this is regardless of whether you're product-led growth or sales-driven or hybrid, you still need to run marketing. You still need people to be aware of what you guys do in the market and have them see your message. And what ends up happening a lot, I've seen a couple of pitfalls over the last 15 months. One pitfall is founders will say, oh, we're product-led. So it's like the new version of build it and they will come. It's like, no. Even if you're product-led, people still need to find out about you. And so you need marketing. And what product-led really means is that you're putting the product ahead of the sales process of sales humans. But that doesn't mean you don't do marketing, which is why step 3 is sales process and you decide on that, but you still need to do the marketing. So that's one pitfall. The other pitfall that I've seen is people will go in and be really scatterbrained on how they're running their marketing to get attention, to get trials going or leads going or discovery calls going. They'll be like, oh, we're blogging, or we'll post it on LinkedIn, or we ran some Facebook ads, but they're all over the place and they're not consistent. And they're across multiple channels. Now, instead of doing all those things, what I teach people to do is I teach people how to run a Broadway show. This is one show that you run every single week in a consistent basis, and you scale it over time. And there are different channels through which you can get attention for B2B SaaS companies, right? You can do inbound, you can do outbound, you can do ads, and you can do social. And there are others, but these are the broader ones, right? And you gotta be able to understand exactly where is gonna be the most juice for you. You gotta know where to actually master each of the channels you're using. And you have to be very intentional about what do we do every single week to get our manifesto to be discovered by our market. And that's a Broadway show. And you wanna be very intentional about it. When we switch companies from being scatterbrained to very intentional about, okay, here are the channels, here's how you master that channel, here's what you do every single week, and here's the data you collect so you can iterate, then they start to do it, and they iterate and iterate and iterate, and then it gets better and better and better and better. And that's the power of running a consistent Broadway show versus being all scattered and all over the place. So step number 5 is really, where you do the marketing. I'll put marketing over here just to be clear. But it's not just marketing and doing 5 billion things every single week. It's running a consistent Broadway show every single week to your market so that they discover you, and over time they enter into your process, whether it's the product or your sales process, and become customers. And that's step number 5. And the biggest thing you'll see over here is, it's like step number 5 where you're starting to do the execution, right? So this is all strategy. And when you get to step number 5, that's execution. And so this is not by mistake. You do these things right, then this will go really well. You skip over these things, you cut corners, you don't think about them in the right strategic way, you skip steps, then you're just gonna waste a lot of time and waste a lot of money and waste a lot of burn, and your competitors might get ahead of you because they're the ones doing the work the right way. And that's why this is so important. This all comes together with step number 6. And step number 6 actually is now wildly different than what I did in the last video. And I'll link to the last video if you want to check it out also to compare the differences. But one of the biggest things I learned that really makes or breaks companies, the companies that did wildly well, they, bootstrap companies that got to profitability and growth, or venture-backed companies that raised their seed plus round and Series A round and really got growth going. The one difference, the one big thing that they did different, the founders that did really well, is step number 6. And step number 6 is to collect data and iterate. This is one of the things where I always have to set expectations with founders. It's like, hey, listen, we're gonna build out your manifesto and we'll do some reviews, and I'll teach you how to do it right. We'll talk through your market opportunity and your ICP, and we'll talk through it. But then we're gonna put it into play. And the quicker you put it into play, the quicker we're gonna get data. And the quicker we get data, the quicker we can iterate. And I'll be honest with you, it'll be the second or third iteration where we nail it. It won't be the first. And that's just how it works. And the reason for that is because we have a thesis, and even with my 15 years of experience and the breadth of startups that I get to see across spaces and the experience and the accelerated experience based on that, that gives you an edge, and you have your domain knowledge and that gives you an edge, and a lot of stuff that gives you an edge, but nothing speaks louder than the market and the data. And so what I found was the quicker we got the first version of the go-to-market machine out into the market, the quicker we got data, and the quicker we got data, the quicker we were able to iterate, the quicker we iterated and put it out there again, the quicker the company grew. And so collecting the right data and then iterating on all of these things, and then running this process again, the quicker you get into these iterations, the faster you're gonna grow, and the quicker you're gonna get better and better and better. And that's step number 6. A lot of times, founders will kind of do this and then be scatterbrained. They'll run 1,000 emails and they haven't done the strategy work, and then they'll like switch blogging because they're like, cold emails don't work, and then they'll come back, but there's no data, and they weren't tethered to anything, and they didn't know what to iterate on. They were all over the place. And so what I try to shift people to do is like, let's get the strategy right, let's write it down, and then let's actually run the execution. Let's collect the right data and let's look at it together and let's iterate. And I found that the companies that do this step 6, collect the data and iterate, and the quicker they do it, the more success they get. And at this point, on average, we see founders putting out their first go-to-market machine in the first 3 weeks. And then we collect data and then we start iterating, and then they really start to get the perpetual motion machine and the flywheel going right after that, which is incredible. That's step number 6. What you really want to do is make sure you're collecting the data and iterating. All right, so let's recap. Those are the 6 steps to create a go-to-market plan so you can accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. Number 1, flesh out your market strategy. What's the market? What are the segments? And where is the problem most urgent and important for the product that you're selling? Now, then map out the competition and understand where is the biggest opportunity. Is there a white space you want to go after in a new space? Or is there an existing competitor you want to go after and you want to convince them on why you're better, right? And why you're the transformation. Everyone thinks that creating a brand new category is the way to go, but that's not true. It just depends on the market. And that's one of the big strategic things to think through and walk through and really understand how to hit it right, which is why the strategy piece is so important. Step number 3, based on the market you're going after, figure out how they want to buy. How do they prefer to buy? How are your competitors selling? Is it going to be a PLG model? Is it a sales-driven model? Or is it a hybrid model? I'll tell you one thing, on a long enough timeline, every SaaS company goes into a hybrid model, regardless of what they say. And so go into that. Number 4 is now that once you have those pieces, then flesh out your manifesto. This is your positioning, your messaging, your value prop, your strategic narrative. This is the thing that you're going to really put out there. Once you have that, then you're going to go into actually executing on that, right? You're going to take the manifesto and then you're going to run your Broadway show across inbound, outbound, and running ads and social. And you can't do all of the channels all at once. You want to make sure you're doing it in the right way, in a consistent way, and not be scattered around it. You want to understand how to actually win in each of these channels, and there are key channels to win in B2B. And then as you're putting things into play, you want to collect the data, you want to look at the data, and you want to keep iterating to make it better and better. And when you do that, you'll be able to actually scale your go-to-market machine. That is what I had for you today. Those are the exact steps that I've been following over the last 15 years in my career in SaaS. And those are the 6 steps that I've been following in the last 15 months of actually coaching SaaS founders to help them scale their go-to-market. Now, you may not know exactly how to do each of these pieces. So if you want to really dig into this, I invite you to join me in my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside of the SaaS go-to-market coaching program, I work with you to actually help you flesh out your go-to-market strategy. And then I also teach you how to execute on these so you can actually build a scalable go-to-market machine and accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. Now, if you want to find out more about this, just go to tkcater.com/GTM. tkcater.com/GTM. All the details are in there. In order to join the program, the way it works is you just fill out a little application. We want to make sure you're the right fit and we can actually help you. At this point, we know what kind of companies we can really help and what kind we can't. So all the details are in this. So you just fill out a little form and then we'll get on a call, we'll review where you're at, and then based on that, if it's a fit, we'll get you on right away. So if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just would mean a lot. Also, I drop a video like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, that way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. Also, if you have a fellow founder, a team member, a SaaS leader, a marketer that would get value from this, you're part of a Slack group, a WhatsApp group, please share this video with them. We put a lot of love in these videos. It would mean the world to me and my team. And also, lastly, leave a comment. Tell me what your thoughts on what you're doing with go-to-market, if you've got questions on each of these steps. But most importantly, if you are serious, if you've got a product and you've got some revenues and you really want to accelerate the growth of your SaaS business, come join me in the SaaS Go-to-Market program. It's an incredible program. It's the most rewarding part of what I do now, working with founders like you to actually help you scale your SaaS businesses with a proper scalable go-to-market machine. So just go to tkcater.com/GTM for that and also link to it below. Lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business, but when you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.